based on resources and staffing, according to officials. Unlike last year, Louisiana public school leaders are deferring to local school officials on face masks and other safety measures amid the rising number of cases of the coronavirus. Sandy Holloway, president of the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, said the board is standing by guidelines by the State Department of Education, released on July the 8th, well before the latest surge. Bessie sets policy for the state's public school system. The guidelines are based on recommendations of the Louisiana Department of Health and the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Some school districts start classes the first week of August. Holloway stressed that the benchmarks are not state-issued requirements, but recommendations for the local K through 12 leadership to consider in adopting their own opening plans for 21-22. A day after U.S. Representative Clay Higgins revealed he is ill with COVID, he, along with Representative Garrett Graves and Representative Mike Johnson, would not disclose Monday whether they had been vaccinated. The other 5 members of Louisiana's congressional delegation say they have received their COVID shot and are encouraging others to do so as well. The benefits vastly outweigh the cost, U.S. Senator John N. Kennedy, Republican out of Madisonville, said in an interview. Higgins made his announcement days after House Minority Whip Steve Scalise announced that he had gotten his first dose of the Pfizer vaccine against COVID. The Tangipahoa Parish Council approved new rules Monday for solar plant developments, capping off weeks of debate between farmers fearful about how renewable energy projects will impact agricultural land and property owners eager to cash in on a clean energy boom sweeping South Louisiana. The new rules require 50 feet of vegetation to surround utility-scale solar plants, meaning solar panel farms big enough to contribute to power grid, and say they have to follow the parish's existing drainage standards, among other rules. The council voted unanimously to approve them. And finally, foreclosure filings have gone up in the Lake Charles area despite the number of filings nationwide dropping to historic levels. The area was one of 5 metros out of 220 across the country that reported an increase in foreclosure filings in the first half of this year. Data from Realty Track shows in its mid-year 21 U.S. foreclosure market report. A federal moratorium has slowed filings down significantly due to the coronavirus pandemic, dropping 61% from a year ago and 78% compared to 2019. Lake Charles hit hard by 2 hurricanes a year ago, and an ice storm in February reported 67 foreclosure filings through June, up from 64 filed in the first half of 2020. I'm Tony Brown. That's your statewide news you can use on this terrific Tuesday. Have a safe and a blessed day. Introducing Dr. Ogali Ileye with foot and ankle specialist located at the 415 Bienville Street, right behind the hospital in Natchitoches. Every step you take depends on the condition of your feet. Dr. Ogali Ileye is a former college athlete. Also, he has vast experience in sports medicine. As a licensed podiatrist, Dr. Ileye treats a wide range of foot and ankle problems like diabetic foot care, bunions, chronic sores, nail problems, infections, ingrown toenails, planters, warts, wound care, and more. The professionals at Foot and Ankle Specialists, 415 Bienville Street in Natchitoches, can help you get back on the good foot by calling 318-357-3668. That's 318-357-3668. So whether you need foot or ankle surgery because of a sports injury or just need constant foot care because of diabetes, put your best foot forward and call Dr. Ogali Ileye with Foot and Ankle Specialists in Natchitoches today at 318-357-3668. Dr. Ogali Ileye with Foot and Ankle Specialists, 415 Bienville Street in Natchitoches, the only podiatrist in Sinlock that is one step ahead of everyone else. Rapides Primary Health Care Center is your federally qualified community health care center and is located at 1217 Willow Glen River Road in Alexandria. They are now accepting new patients. Are you tired of spending long hours in hospital emergency rooms waiting to receive non-critical health care services? Do you need affordable medical, dental, and mental health care? Do you need quality health care for you and your baby for prenatal, during pregnancy, and up until adulthood? Do you need to sign your family up for the Affordable Care Act or Medicaid? Then look no further than Rapides Primary Health Care Center. It is the affordable, timely answer to all your family's health care needs. All services are available to anyone regardless of their ability to pay. You or your family will never be turned away. Rapides Primary is certified KidMed site with a sliding fee scale. Payment is based on income and size of family. Medicaid, Medicare, and most commercial insurance are accepted for medical services. For appointments and information on all medical services, including Obamacare and Medicaid, call 318-487-4400. That's 318-487-4400. Rapides Primary Healthcare Center, a new beginning in quality healthcare and a proud impact partner of the Eyes Open Radio Network. All right, we're back right here in your premier morning news magazine, Eyes Open, with me on FM 107.5, the Vibe, 1110 AM KTTP, and a little beatbox you hear in the background is, you know the beatbox, man? You know how to do that? There you go. Good stuff, Kate. You got to practice on it, okay? You doing okay today?
Yes.
Well, let's pray. Let's pray, my friend.
Dear God, thank you for all the blessings in my life. Please show me how can I share with them, with the others. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Kate. I appreciate that high five. We got Joe Rua. He's standing by. He's a meteorologist with the National Weather Service out of Lake Charles. Let me hear it. All right, there you go. Hey, Joe, how you doing today?
Hey, we're doing okay here, Tony.
Okay, let's take a look at the forecast. I'm kind of looking outside of our studio window to the world, so to speak. Kind of like overcast sky this morning so far.
Yeah, a lot of that's high-level cloudiness. Some of the leftovers from the thunderstorms of yesterday and last night across the area, so there's some leftover high-level clouds there. Looks like today is going to be another typical summer-type day. It's going to be getting warm, hot during the afternoon, and humid. Probably highs up there in the mid-90s, with the heating to see about 105. And then once that heat gets going, the showers and thunderstorms will start to develop. So we'll be having some pretty good chance, about 60% chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon.
As we take a look at the extended forecast.
Well, pretty much not a lot changing, at least for the rest of this week. When it's going to be hot during the daytime, muggy at night, and you get those scattered afternoon showers and thunderstorms.
Okay. Hey, thanks a lot, Joe.
Right.
We appreciate you. Have a great day, okay?
All right, you too.
All right, Joe Rua, meteorologist with the National Weather Service out of Lake Charles, with today's and the extended forecast, and Caden Johnson with today's Kids Prayer on this terrific Tuesday, July 27th. Okay, Eyes Open News Time, 52 minutes past the hour. 52 minutes past the hour right here on your premier morning news magazine. Let me see a couple little stories there, Q, so I can get those going. Thank you, sister. Appreciate that. Let's see what we got going on here on the national news this morning. I do want to share with you that we're going to have Dr. Joseph Cantor. He's the state health official and serves as the top medical official for the Louisiana Department of Health. He'll be joining us this morning. I'm going to try to get Dr. David Holcomb again because a lot has happened since yesterday as it pertains to COVID-19 and Louisiana's excruciating, escalating numbers, leading the country right now in new COVID cases. Louisiana is #1 in the nation right now with COVID cases and has one of the lowest vaccination rates in the country, less than, just a little above maybe 35%. And we're right in line with Florida, Arkansas, and California, which has already mandated vaccines. And now the federal government, the United States federal government, is looking at a mandate for civil servants. That's right. And I know over in California, what they're doing is you have to have a mandated vaccine, or you're going to get weekly testing. Every week they're going to bring you in to test you to make sure you can go to work. But if you don't get the vaccine, certainly from the federal government side, no paycheck. It's that simple. So now they get into the point where they're strong-arming United States citizens to get the vaccine. It's that crucial. The U.S. could see about 4 times the current rate of COVID-19 cases in the next 6 weeks as the Delta variant spreads and the population hits a wall on vaccination, the former CDC director told CNN. Is there a video on this one, Q, or is that just kind of like that old thing that we're doing? He says, we're headed to a rough time. It's likely, if our trajectory is similar to that in the United Kingdom, that we could see as many as 200,000 cases a day. Oh, my Lord, Dr. Tom Friedman said. During the U.S., adding the U.S. likely won't see the horrific death tolls of earlier the pandemic thanks to the number of vulnerable people who are vaccinated. But he said, you will see a steady increase in deaths, and these are preventable deaths. Yeah, I think that's that old bite Q we did yesterday, that doctor telling particularly young people that he can't intubate them. Before intubating them, that he can't give them the vaccine because they're begging and pleading for the vaccine before being put on the respirator. Here you go, Q. I accidentally got yours. There you go, man. Former U.S. Senator Mike Enzi has died following a serious bicycle accident last week, according to the statement posted on his official Twitter account. He was 77 years old. The former longtime Republican lawmaker from Wyoming had suffered serious injuries while riding a bicycle Friday evening near his home in Gillette, Wyoming. According to an earlier statement from his family, he had been flown to UC Health Medical Center of the Rockies in Loveland, Colorado for treatment. Details on the accident were not immediately available. In its opening act, the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol holds its first high-profile hearing Tuesday with testimony from 4 officers who will give first-hand accounts of the horrors they witnessed and endured as rioters stormed the building. The officers are expected to go to the next story for me, Q. Select Committee holds first January 6th hearing. The officers are expected to recount the harrowing attacks that they faced on the January 6th. And let's bring up Maraja. Yeah, he's a pretty doggone good White House reporter. Let's see.
Hotspots throughout the United States. We'll talk to a state health official who calls what she's seeing disturbing. Plus, withdrawing from Afghanistan. And now this afternoon, President Biden announces the U.S. military will end its combat mission in Iraq. The implications ahead. And leading this hour, tomorrow will be the first hearing of the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection and what went wrong in that deadly day. CNN talked to some of the law enforcement officers who are sharing their harrowing stories from inside the violence, and we'll discuss with one of the Republican lawmakers who was initially named to that panel before Republican leader Kevin McCarthy yanked his Republican picks from the committee. But first, the tension overshadowing this committee between Speaker Pelosi and Republican Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. CNN's Manu Raju is live for us on Capitol Hill. And Manu, you're learning about this heated phone call between the 2 congressional leaders. Tell us more.
Yeah, last week when Nancy Pelosi made that decision to pull back, to reject two of Kevin McCarthy's picks, Jim Jordan and Jim Banks, because of her contention that they would undermine the integrity of the investigation, the two had a contentious phone call, a sign of just their deteriorating relationship between the two leaders. Voices were rising, and at one point McCarthy said, what you are doing is making an unprecedented decision. Publicly, Nancy Pelosi agreed it was an unprecedented decision. She said it was unprecedented because of what happened on January 6th, and this comes as this investigation is going to pick up pace once this hearing goes forward tomorrow, hearing testimony from four police officers who will give their experiences about what they encountered that day while defending this Capitol. Afterwards, the members of this committee will lay out their investigative path going forward and whether they will call forward any witnesses who had conversations with Donald Trump, potentially Kevin McCarthy himself, potentially other Republicans as well. That is something that the Democrats and the Republicans who sit on this committee have not ruled out. Congressman Adam Kinzinger, one of the Republicans added by Nancy Pelosi, told me earlier today that he is open to potentially calling some Republican members of Congress as well. So that is something that will take shape, Jake, in the weeks and months ahead as this investigation picks up pace.
And Manu, Congresswoman Liz Cheney, she's one of the two House Republicans appointed on this select committee by Speaker Pelosi. And today we learned that Cheney is expected to give an opening statement at this committee's first hearing tomorrow. Do we have any idea what she plans to say?
Yeah, she will speak right after the chairman, Benny Thompson, and expect her to talk about how this issue, in her view, is bigger than politics and say that this is essential for Congress to understand everything that happened in the run-up to the attack.
And a really important opportunity to remind everybody about the necessity of accountability for what happened, for making sure that it never happens again.
So now the question, too, also remains on Capitol Hill, whether anything will happen about Cheney and Kinzinger.
All right. Of course, check this out, folks. The NFL's Kansas City Chiefs won't be changing the team's nickname anytime soon, but are retiring their horse mascot named Warpaint, according to the organization president. His comments came after MLB's Cleveland Indians announced Friday they would become the Cleveland Guardians next year. The Indians will join the NFL's Washington football team, formerly the Washington Redskins, in moving on in recent years from a name evoking Native Americans. It's racist, plain and simple. The German women's gymnastic team has foregone bikini-cut unitards in favor of full-body versions at the Tokyo Olympics in what the German Gymnastic Federation has branded a statement against sexualization. The suits, which the team wore in their qualifications at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics on Sunday, cover the legs to the ankle and are in contrast to the high-cut leotards worn by many other female gymnasts at the Olympics. It says it's about what feels comfortable. Gymnast Elizabeth Seitz said, "We want to show that every woman, everybody should decide what to wear." The team also wore the unitards during their podium training at the Iraqi Gymnastics Center on Thursday after debuting them in April at the European Championship in Basel, Switzerland. According to the International Gymnastics Federation, the governing body of the competitive gymnastics attire with full or half sleeves and leg coverings are allowed in competition as long as the color matches the leotard. Seitz and other athletes had responded positively to the unitards, and that she hoped others would feel free to wear their garment of choice in the future. Eyes Open News Time. It's straight up 7 o'clock. It's straight up 7 o'clock on this terrific Tuesday. Good morning. I always wonder why women would amount to what looks to me like panties. You know, when they're running track, and I was like, at what point, who picked those outfits? You know, because back in the day, Flojo and them would have like the little bodysuits. I mean, she'd have like one leg out. But now, like, you know, all of them, where's the long distance
Rapides
runners?
Primary
They got
Healthcare
these
Center
little
is
bitty-
your
it looks
federally
like
qualified
kids.
community
You seen
healthcare
those little
center
tight kids?
and is
Don't they look like
located at
little
1217 Willow
panties
Glen River
that
Road in
these women are wearing
Alexandria.
running and
They
stuff?
are now accepting new patients. Are you tired of spending
I
long
mean, that can't
hours
be
in
comfortable,
hospital
just
emergency
running and
rooms
stuff like that.
waiting to receive non-critical healthcare services? Do
But
you
I
need
like these. Look
affordable
at the German
medical,
women's
dental,
suits,
and
cute.
mental health
I
care?
like those.
Do you need quality health care for
Those are
you
nice.
and your baby for prenatal, during pregnancy, and up until adulthood? Do you need to sign your family up for the Affordable Care Act or Medicaid? Then look no further than Rapides Primary Healthcare Center. It is the affordable, timely answer to all your family's healthcare needs. All services are available to anyone regardless of their ability to pay. You or your family will never be turned away. Rapides Primary is certified Kid Med site with a sliding fee scale. Payment is based on income and size of family. Medicaid, Medicare, and most commercial insurance are accepted for medical services. For appointments and information on all medical services, including Obamacare and Medicaid, call 318-487-4400. That's 318-487-4400. Rapides Primary Healthcare Center, a new beginning in quality healthcare and a proud impact partner of the Eyes Open Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Denisha Edwards, City News Manager for the Drum newspaper in Ponchatoula and Baton Rouge. My job is to make sure your stories get told. I make sure you know what's happening in your community. Whether that's exciting, informative, or just entertainment, your news matters at the Drum. But we can't do it all alone, and no one knows the community better than you. That's why I'm asking you to share your stories with me. At the Drum, we believe a community that is informed is a strong one. So if you've got important news, witty insight, upcoming events, or even a wedding announcement, call me at 225-927-3717 or email me news to news@thedrumnewspaper.info. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter today as we report your news.
Did you get the COVID-19 vaccine? Now you can enter to win cash. 4 people will win $100,000 with one lucky vaccine recipient winning the grand prize of $1 million. Under 18, you can win one of 9 $100,000 college scholarships. So get the vaccine and take your shot at $1 million. To enter, visit shotatamillion.com or call 855-453-0774. Brought to you by the Louisiana Department of Health.
Hi, this is Dolores with Robinson Family Mortuary. The COVID-19 pandemic has been devastating to our community, and we have served numerous families affected by it. Planning a funeral is difficult, but a sudden loss during this pandemic can be even more stressful. Robinson Family Mortuary can help ease your stress and serves all of Central Louisiana, including Natchitoches, Oakdale, Marksville, Leesville, Fort Polk, and most every parish in the entire state. The newly renovated Robinson Family Mortuary is located at 1815 Military Highway in Pineville, and we can be reached anytime by calling 318-442-7300. That's 318-442-7300, or visit us online at robinsonfm.com. Robinson Family Mortuary, without delay, can arrange for a traditional funeral service, cremation, ship in or ship out, including military. We accept all assignable and verifiable life insurance policies. With just one call to 318-442-7300, all of your homegoing needs can be taken care of at our newly remodeled Robinson Family Mortuary. Robinson Family Mortuary, a family serving families.
This is Eyes Open with Tony Brown on FM 107.5, The Vibe.
Let's do
and 11
Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Summertime.
Alexandria Pineville.
I got it all the way up, maxed out, and I can't hear a thing. Okay, that's better. All right, Eyes Over News Time, 6 minutes past the hour. 6 minutes past the hour, right here on your premier morning news magazine, top of the morning to you, right here. Coming up, hopefully we'll have Dr. Joseph Cantor, state health official and serves as the top medical official for Louisiana Department of Health and Hospital, as we take a look at the rising numbers of Louisiana's COVID-19 numbers. Point Capay Sheriff's Office waits on autopsy results for unidentified body found in the Mississippi River. We'll tell you about that. Baton Rouge man dies from injuries in Friday morning arson. We have that story for you. Rapper Lit Yoshi facing another attempted murder charge, can't get out on bond for now, according to judge. After 2 tiki tubing deaths, a look at dangerous history for a Meat River. Q, do me a favor real quick on the board. Pot number 5. Bring it up to the line. The pencil line on the side. There you go. Perfect. Out to here. Baton Rouge overdose deaths are soaring. Could a settlement with Big Pharma turn the tide? Daily average of new COVID vaccines given in Louisiana more than doubles. As COVID surge escalates in Louisiana, hospitals shut down elective surgeries, no room at the end. Louisiana schools will determine their own COVID restrictions according to the state. It's going to be crazy. After Clay Higgins gets COVID, a look at Louisiana's U.S. Congress members who are vaccinated. Tangipahoa Council endorses solar regulations amid clash between farmers and landowners. And finally, Lake Charles is one of only 5 metro areas in the country to report an increase in foreclosure filings through June. 8 minutes past the hour. 8 minutes past the hour, right here in your premier morning news magazine. 8 minutes past the hour. Phone lines are always open at 318-483-9977. The forecast coming up for you shortly. It's going to be a hot one today. Yesterday, we registered triple digits, 101 heat indices in the teens. Triple. Good morning.
Here it is, a groove slightly transformed. Just a bit of a break from the norm. Just a little something to break the monotony of all that hardcore dance that has gotten to be a little bit out of control. It's cool to dance, but what about a groove that soothes and moves romance? Give me a soft, subtle mix, and if it ain't broke, then don't try to fix it. And think of the summers of the past. Adjust the bass and let the Alpine blast. Drop in my CD and let me run around and put your car on cruise and lay back, cause this is summertime. School is out and this sort of a buzz. But back then I didn't really know what it was. But now I see what happened is the way that people respond to summer madness. The weather is hot and girls are dressing less and checking out the fellas to tell them who's best. Riding around in your Jeep or your Benzos, or in your Nissan sitting on Lorenzo's. Back in Philly, we be out in the park. A place called the Plateau is where everybody goes. Guys out hunting and girls doing likewise. Honking at the honey in front of you with the light eyes. She turned around and see what you beeping at. It's like the summer's a natural aphrodisiac. And with a pen and pad I compose this rhyme to hit you and to get you equipped for the summertime. Short set, yeah, I got on sneaks, but I need a new pair, cause basketball courts in the summer got girls there. The temperature's about 88. Hop in the water plug, just for old time's sake. Break to your crib, change your clothes once more, cause you're invited to a barbecue to start at 4. Sitting with your friends, y'all reminisce about the days growing up and the first person you kiss. And as I think back, makes me wonder how the smell from a grill can spark off nostalgia. All the kids playing out front, little boys messing around, but the girls playing double dutch. While the DJ spinning a tune as the old folks dance at your family reunion. Then 6 o'clock rolls around. You just finished wiping your car down. It's time to cruise, so you go to the summertime hangout. It looks like a car show. Everybody come looking real fine, fresh from the barbershop and live from the beauty salon. Every moment frontin' and maxin', chillin' in the car, they spend all day waxin', leaning to the side, but you can't speed through 2 miles an hour, so everybody sees you. There's an air of love and of happiness, and this is the Fresh Prince's new definition of summer madness.
Introducing Dr. Ogali Ileye with foot and ankle specialist located at the 415 Bienville Street, right behind the hospital in Natchitoches. Every step you take depends on the condition of your feet. Dr. Ogali Ileye is a former college athlete. Also, he has vast experience in sports medicine. As a licensed podiatrist, Dr. Ileye treats a wide range of foot and ankle problems like diabetic foot care, bunions, chronic sores, nail problems, infections, ingrown toenails, planters, warts, wound care, and more. The professionals at Foot and Ankle Specialists, 415 Bienville Street in Natchitoches, can help you get back on the good foot by calling 318-357-3668. That's 318-357-3668. So whether you need foot or ankle surgery because of a sports injury or just need constant foot care because of diabetes, put your best foot forward and call Dr. Ogali Ileye with Foot and Ankle Specialists in Natchitoches today at 318-357-3668. Dr. Ogali Ileye with Foot and Ankle Specialists, 415 Bienville Street in Natchitoches, the only podiatrist in Cenla that is one step ahead of everyone else. Rapides Primary Healthcare Center is your federally qualified community healthcare center and is located at 1217 Willow Glen River Road in Alexandria. They are now accepting new patients. Are you tired of spending long hours in hospital emergency rooms waiting to receive non-critical healthcare services? Do you need affordable medical, dental, and mental health care? Do you need quality health care for you and your baby for prenatal, during pregnancy, and up until adulthood? Do you need to sign your family up for the Affordable Care Act or Medicaid? Then look no further than Rapides Primary Healthcare Center. It is the affordable, timely answer to all your family's health care needs. All services are available to anyone regardless of their ability to pay. You or your family will never be turned away. Rapides Primary is certified Kid Med site with a sliding fee scale. Payment is based on income and size of family. Medicaid, Medicare, and most commercial insurance are accepted for medical services. For appointments and information on all medical services, including Obamacare and Medicaid, call 318-487-4400. That's 318-487-4400. Rapides Primary Healthcare Center, a new beginning in quality health care and a proud impact partner of the Eyes Open Radio Network.
Did you get the COVID-19 vaccine? Now you can enter to win cash. 4 people will win $100,000 with one lucky vaccine recipient winning the grand prize of $1 million. Under 18, you can win one of 9 $100,000 college scholarships. So get the vaccine and take your shot at $1 million. To enter, visit shotatamillion.com or call 855-453-0774. Brought to you by the Louisiana Department of Health.
Hi, this is Bianca Brown, the Mobile Sensi Lady. Are you looking for a dream job? Well, you need to give me a call today. I'm looking for new recruits to join my team of Sensi consultants. Join Sensi today and get your starter kit for only $99 plus shipping and tax. Benefits include additional income, flexibility, incredible friendships, world-class training, recognition, personal growth, discounts on amazing Sensi products, and the opportunity to earn fabulous incentive trips around the world like the all-expense-paid trip I earned to Cancun, Mexico. Interested in joining Sensi? Give me a call today at 318-618-1832. That's 318-618-1832. Please refer to my website, lapeacefulsense.sensi.us, for our income disclosure statement.
The Rapides Parish School Board is looking for volunteers interested in helping parents and educators make a positive impact in the lives of young people. If you, your business, your church, or community organization would like to help empower and elevate young people in our community, please consider being a mentor. Effective mentoring has the ability to help children both cope with and overcome many of the obstacles they face in today's world. Please visit our website or social media pages to sign up to partner with educators and parents to ensure the children of Rapides Parish have the supports they need. Let's continue to show the world that Rapides Parish truly is better together.
All right, we're back right here on your Premier Morning News Magazine. In just a bit, we had the pleasure of having Dr. Joseph Cantor, a state health official and serves as the top medical official for the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals. He's coming up shortly. But before we do that, I certainly want to go to our medical director for the Office of Public Health here in Region 6, Dr. David Holcomb. But before I bring him on, I do want to share with you the urgency and the seriousness. Not like we haven't been saying this for a year and a half now, but Louisiana's ongoing surge of COVID continued to escalate over the weekend, with an additional 6,225 cases reported just since Friday. So we're talking about Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, basically a 3-day total of 6,000. We're talking about an average of about 2,000 new cases every day. In fact, Dr. Catherine O'Neill, Chief Medical Officer at Our Lady of the Lake in Baton Rouge, which is, of course, the biggest long-standing hospital, 800-bed facility in the state of Louisiana, she said it's so fast we really can't grasp it. She says, I don't know where we'll be in 3 days, but I'm afraid we'll reach crisis standards of care if we don't make some changes quickly. Now, hospital requests crisis standards from the state when there are not enough resources, including staff, to care for the patients. The last 7 days saw a total of 15,282 cases, a weekly average higher than any other time except the first few weeks in January. Let's go to Dr. David Holcomb. Doc, this thing is, this wave 4, so to speak, is worse than I ever imagined.
Well, it's because of the Delta virus. It's all COVID, it's still COVID, but the Delta virus produces 100 to 1,000 times more virus in your nasal cavities than the previous strains.
Oh my goodness!
So you're literally crawling in virus, and so the chances of it jumping from person to person, through aerosols and whatever, are 100 to 1,000 times. So this is just going like wildfire. And it is hitting the unvaccinated and vaccinated, but the unvaccinated are the ones who are ending up in the hospital, and they are going to submerge the hospitals.
And that's what's going on right now. In fact, Our Lady of the Lake stopped taking transfers 2 weeks ago for that facility, but there are still too many patients to keep up with the normal business of surgery. So what we're seeing now, Doc, from many hospitals that have announced it as of yesterday, that they're not doing those elective surgeries, just as we saw at the height of the pandemic last year when we didn't have a vaccine, where they're not bringing people in the hospital for fear that this thing could cause a problem at their institutions.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And part of it's the caseload, and part of it are staffing, because they can't get the nurses and the other ancillary personnel. They can't get enough of them. So this is, heading right back into a crisis, and we're cruising right back into schools.
I saw here, Louisiana, of course, we're always at the top of the list when it comes to the bad stuff, and COVID-19 in this latest surge is no different, as we seem to have the highest number of one of the largest numbers of unvaccinated people in the country, and we have some of the growing cases of COVID-19 since this fourth wave has taken place. What we see in California, pretty much Florida, Arkansas, and Louisiana is leading. Right now, I see where New York City is now mandating vaccines among all its employees. The federal government, that means if you work for the civil service on the federal side, they are going to mandate that everyone who works for the federal government also take the vaccine. And in California, they're going to also mandate the vaccine for state and public employees, not so if they're going to submit to weekly testing. So what we're seeing is aggressive enforcement by governments now who's saying they've had enough of people not getting the vaccine, Doc.
Well, it is a public health catastrophe, and it's all preventable. And if people cannot or will not prevent it on their own, then the powers that be will step in and say, I'm sorry, folks, enough's enough. get your vaccine so we can get a handle on this pandemic.
Is a big part of the problem of trying to get a handle on this, Doc, is the fact that 50% of the cases of COVID-19 have no symptoms?
Oh, yeah, this has always been a problem. And with the Delta, it's even worse because, in fact, the vaccinated individuals can still get it and transmit it, even though they don't do it quite as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have an enormous reservoir of people that are going to transmit this. It's something else.
This is something else. I mean, it's hard for us to even grasp our mind around what's taking place. And for the simple fact, it doesn't make any sense to us while people are watching loved ones, neighbors. They're looking at television every day. Not only elderly people, but now younger people who are succumbing to the disease, who are being intubated, and who are not coming out of it. And every day I'm looking at a face of a person who says, I wish I would have gotten the vaccine, or went to a rough patch and have made it out, and saying, I don't know what I was waiting for. Let me ask you this, Doc. Let's talk about people who have been vaccinated in these breakthrough cases. I mean, this is problematic for those of us who did everything the government asked us to do, who got in line for the vaccine, now knowing that even if we have the vaccine, not only can we catch COVID-19 again, but we also can spread it to other people. And there's even been cases, if I'm not mistaken, Doc, of people who've been vaccinated, got COVID-19, and end up in a hospital.
Yes, that does happen, but it's one out of 100.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, the vaccine still works. It still works at its primary function, which is to keep people from getting seriously ill or dying. And those were the very statistics that we saw in the very beginning where they said, oh, it's 99% effective or 95% effective or whatever. That is really the end point that you're looking for. So the fact that occasionally there's someone who is vaccinated and ends up in the hospital is, that's serious and that's important, but you have to take it in its context, which is it's one case out of 99, and the other 99 are unvaccinated individuals in younger age groups.
We're right into the first few days of the Olympics. What we're seeing at the Olympics is athletes who've been vaccinated in their home countries, who've gone to Tokyo, and who have tested positive again for COVID, and of course, all of the dreams are being destroyed. That's what they're calling these breakthrough cases. How concerned should we be about this?
Well, I mean, it's just a reflection of the highly contagious nature of the Delta variant. And these variants exist because the virus is allowed to percolate through a population which is largely unvaccinated. Louisiana has a lot of cases, but its real distinction is its rate of rise of cases is higher than any other state in the Union.
Its rate? What do you mean? That means more people are getting...
The rate of rise proportional to the population.
Okay, so the people here are getting it. Yeah. They're getting it faster than any other state.
Right.
It's spreading faster.
People are getting infected faster than any other state.
Is part of the problem is because we have these roller coaster rules, so to speak, where we really don't know, what we're supposed to be doing. Some people say this, some people say that. The fact that many people aren't wearing masks. I mean, I was in the post office, I went to the grocery store, and a lot of people are asking like this thing is over.
Yeah. Well, that's a misconception that it's over. And it is confusing, and this has been confusing since the very beginning because there's, should we wear masks, should we not wear masks, blah, blah, blah. And all of that changes with the circumstances, and the circumstances are changing. So the Delta virus changed the landscape, so it's going to change the rules. The one thing that's a little confusing for people now is that the state recommendation is that if you are close prolonged contact with a known positive, the CDC said, well, you don't have to be quarantined, but you don't have to be tested. And the governor's proclamation and the HAN report, the Health Network stipulates that you do have to be tested. So that is a little different from the federal recommendations, and all of that always creates a lot of confusion.
Speaking of confusion, here we are about maybe 3.5 weeks at the most where most school districts are going to be kicking off. We still have no mitigation of COVID-19 for children 5 to 11 years old. And when you add to the equation that, unlike last year, Louisiana public school leaders are deferring to local school officials on face masks and other safety measures amid the rising number of cases of the corona. So here we're starting school 3 weeks, and each individual school district is going to be able to employ their own set of guidelines. Do you foresee this being problematic?
Yes.
I do too.
I don't know what else to say. This is going to be very problematic because there are already individual schools or districts in other parts of the state that have said they're not going to have any mask mandate. And that's in direct contradiction to the American Academy of Pediatrics, which said that all school children should be masked.
So Doc, with that information, what you just said about the American Pediatrics, and of course, Louisiana apparently going against, or just, y'all make up your own rules and do what y'all want to do. Can you understand why some parents right now, who maybe 4 weeks ago were getting ready to enroll their kids in school, had everything ready, buying the uniforms, the whole 9 yards, and now, here the last several days, many of them have contacted me, even my own staff members, saying that they have a problem, and they are now not going to allow their kids to return to school. They're going to go back to virtual.
Well, this is, this is what happens. The decentralized control is wonderful, but sometimes it doesn't work right.
Yeah.
And this is one circumstance where my opinion, this is my personal opinion, that extremely strong directives from the Department of Education, dictated by the state, should be that there should be a universal mask mandate in all schools. I mean, that's my personal recommendation.
I agree.
For safety purposes, given the circumstances.
Now, my final question before I let you go, Doc, is how do we stop this pandemic wildfire? Because right now it's a wildfire.
Well, first of all, you have to do what we did in the very beginning, which is decrease the transmission, which is, of course, by wearing a mask and social distancing, which is, everybody thought we're done with that. And the second thing is, 70% of the population still needs to get vaccinated. This is crazy.
Yeah.
You have a preventable disease, and the public is not doing what they should do to help themselves and others. It's very baffling to me. I do not. I understand the fears and anxieties and all that, but enough of the fears. Roosevelt said it. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. And fear itself here is causing the problem.
And I agree. I mean, despite all these other factors about why you're not getting, why you're hesitant, your biggest fear should be dying should you get it. That should be the ultimate fear, because all bets are off after that. You're dead, gone. It's it. It's over. It's done. Finite. So I don't understand it as well as you, Doc. I appreciate you giving us a few minutes of your time, my friend. We appreciate you.
Well, I'm on my way to Baton Rouge to a meeting, believe it or not.
Well, I'll tell you what, tell Dr. Cantor I said hello. We'll be talking to him shortly.
Yeah, okay. Say hello to him and
I will.
Wish him well.
I will.
He's a good guy.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be real nice to him since he's a good guy. So my friend.
Be real nice and say what a great job the local public health officials are doing.
Oh, definitely. Well, that comes without saying. You take care, my friend, okay?
All right, thanks a lot.
All
Bye-bye.
right, Dr. David Holcomb with the Office of Public Health, the Medical Director for Region 6, with the very latest on how serious this thing is and how concerned he is that this whole thing could be mitigated just with a simple shot. More eyes open when we come back. Don't go away.
Tony Brown on FM 107.5, The Vibe, and 1110 AM, KGTP, Alexandria, Pineville.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tony Brown. This is your statewide news you can use on this terrific Tuesday. It's the 27th day of the month of July. News being brought to you by Natchitoches foot and ankle specialist, Dr. Ogali Ileye. A body found in the Mississippi River on Saturday near New Roads has been taken to the East Baton Rouge Coroner's Office for identification and cause of death. That according to the Point Capay Sheriff, Renee Thibodeau. The body was found in a river between two parked barges, with a portion of the barges pulled up on the river bank in Point Capay. The sheriff's office was notified by the U.S. Coast Guard personnel who spotted the body. Thibodeau said he's at a training conference this week with the Louisiana Sheriff's Association in Destin, Florida, and was able to check in person with the sheriff from Iberville. West Baton Rouge and West Feliciana parishes about the incident. He said none of us has a missing person report right now. Thibodeau said Monday afternoon anyone with information about the drowning or other incidents is being asked to contact the Point Capay Sheriff's Office at 225-638-5400. Not sure if it's a drowning, homicide, or something else. A 65-year-old man has died from burns and smoke inhalation in a fire that was intentionally set at his house on Cable Street. According to Baton Rouge police, Lionel Myers was found lying near the front door of the house when firefighters arrived at about 2:20 in the morning Friday. He was breathing but unresponsive. Myers was brought to the hospital but succumbed to his wounds. His death is under investigation. Anyone with information about the fire should call Crime Stoppers at 225-354-1411. A Baton Rouge judge placed a custody hold Monday on local and battled rapper Lit Yoshi, who already was facing 7 attempted murder counts, raising from 2 shootings in the last year when he was arrested last week in Florida, and yet another rap-related shooting last year, this one in Slidell. And East Baton Rouge Parish prosecutor told State District Judge Tarvald Smith that Lit Yoshi, whose real name is Miyoshi Edwards, remained in custody in Florida as of Monday morning. Edwards had been free on a $1.82 million bond that the judge set last summer, but was on house arrest in Florida. Smith, at prosecutor Lauren Harrell's request, said he was placing a hold on Edwards in case he posts bond in his latest arrest before he is returned to Baton Rouge. A motion hearing previously scheduled for Monday in Smith's courtroom on the Baton Rouge attempted murder counts was reset by the judge for August the 31st. The Amite River has long drawn visitors seeking relief from Louisiana's summertime heat. It's long been deadly, too. A 52-year-old man died Saturday while tubing along the stream, slipping beneath the water's surface moments after entering the water at the dropout point for the Tiki 2 waterway attraction. He was the second to drown in the Amite River incident this year and the 9th since 2009, a check of the Advocate records show. Representatives for Tiki 2 could not be reached for comment Monday. Its website calls for the Amite River smooth and slow moving, but also says all bodies of water have some inherent risks. Baton Rouge could be getting a lot of money from a $26 billion national settlement with opioid makers and those battling the city's soaring overdose rate, death rate, say it could be a huge help if the money is used for the right things. That includes outreach, treatment, data collection, and overdose reversing drugs, treatment providers, advocates, and health officials. Louisiana stands to receive as much as $350 million over 18 years from the settlement with drug maker Johnson & Johnson and the 3 largest distributors, McKesson Corp., AmerisourceBergen Virgin Corp., and Cardinal Health Inc. That amount will be split among municipalities around the state. The agreement settles more than 3,000 lawsuits from all over the country accusing the companies of selling opioid painkillers despite knowing they were fueling an addiction epidemic. Louisiana health officials saw some big jumps in Monday's coronavirus data, marking the largest jump in the count on record amid a more contagious strains spread across the state. Cases have risen stately to the point that Louisiana and the nation are experiencing a 4th wave, prompting a related spike. The average number of COVID vaccination jabs given daily. According to the Louisiana Department of Health, data analyzed by the Times-Picayune, the Advocate, an average of 9,622 new vaccines were given in the last 7 days. That number is more than double the average of new shots rolled out prior to the state's vaccine lottery announcement and the surge in cases. From May 17th to June 14th, an average of 4,566 Louisiana residents were getting vaccines each day. Governor John Bel Edwards announced the coronavirus vaccine lottery 3 days later, which encouraged Louisianans to get vaccinated before the end of July in order to win one of 14 prizes, including a $1 million jackpot. Louisiana's ongoing surge of COVID continued to escalate over the weekend with an additional 6,225 cases reported just since Friday, marking one of the largest increases in case counts since the pandemic began. Though vaccinations are also increasing, it's not enough to stem the flood of patients into hospitals, according to weary healthcare workers now well into their fourth surge in the past 18 months. It's so fast we can't really grasp it, says Dr. Catherine O'Neill, Chief Medical Officer at Our Lady of the Lake in Baton Rouge and Associate Professor at LSU Health New Orleans School of Medicine. She said, I don't know where we'll be in 3 days, but I'm afraid we'll reach crisis standards of care if we don't make some changes quickly. Hospitals request crisis standards from the state when there are not enough resources, including staff, to care for patients. The last 7 days saw a total of 15,282 cases, a weekly average higher than any other time except the first few weeks in January. Our Lady of the Lake stopped taking transfers 2 weeks ago, but there are still too many patients to keep up with the normal business of surgery. The 800-bed hospital, Louisiana's largest standalone facility, started limiting elective surgeries on Monday, harkening back to the early days of the pandemic. Those who need care unexpectedly may face waits. The emergency department had 19 people waiting for a bed on Monday. On Monday, LCMC Health also paused elective surgeries indefinitely in order to redeploy staff to critical care units, according to a representative. The pause includes surgeries at University Medical Center, Toro Infirmary, New Orleans East Hospital, Children's Hospital of New Orleans, East Jefferson General Hospital, and West Jefferson Medical Center. Ochsner's Health, Louisiana's largest health system, has not instituted a widespread halt on surgeries at its 40 hospitals, but individual facilities may reduce or postpone non-emergency surgeries requiring overnight stays based on resources and staffing, according to officials. Unlike last year, Louisiana public school leaders are deferring to local school officials on face masks and other safety measures amid the rising number of cases of the coronavirus. Sandy Holloway, president of the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, said the board is standing by guidelines by the State Department of Education, released on July the 8th, well before the latest surge. Bessie sets policy for the state's public school system. The guidelines are based on recommendations of the Louisiana Department of Health and the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Some school districts start classes the first week of August. Holloway stressed that the benchmarks are not state-issued requirements, but recommendations for the local K through 12 leadership to consider in adopting their own opening plans for 21-22. A day after U.S. Representative Clay Higgins revealed he is ill with COVID, he, along with Representative Garrett Graves and Representative Mike Johnson, would not disclose Monday whether they had been vaccinated. The other 5 members of Louisiana's congressional delegation say they have received their COVID shot and are encouraging others to do so as well. The benefits vastly outweigh the cost, U.S. Senator John N. Kennedy, Republican out of Madisonville, said in an interview. Higgins made his announcement days after House Minority Whip Steve Scalise announced that he had gotten his first dose of the Pfizer vaccine against COVID. The Tangipahoa Parish Council approved new rules Monday for solar plant developments, capping off weeks of debate between farmers fearful about how renewable energy projects will impact agricultural land and property owners eager to cash in on a clean energy boom sweeping South Louisiana. The new rules require 50 feet of vegetation to surround utility-scale solar plants, meaning solar panel farms big enough to contribute to power grid, and say they have to follow the parish's existing drainage standards, among other rules. The council voted unanimously to approve them. And finally, foreclosure filings have gone up in the Lake Charles area despite the number of filings nationwide dropping to historic levels. The area was one of 5 metros out of 220 across the country that reported an increase in foreclosure filings in the first half of this year. Data from Realty Track shows in its mid-year 21 U.S. foreclosure market report. A federal moratorium has slowed filings down significantly due to the coronavirus pandemic, dropping 61% from a year ago and 78% compared to 2019. Lake Charles hit hard by 2 hurricanes a year ago, and an ice storm in February reported 67 foreclosure filings through June, up from 64 filed in the first half of 2020. I'm Tony Brown. That's your statewide news you can use on this terrific Tuesday. Have a safe and a blessed day. All right, we're back right here on your premier morning news magazine, Top of the Morning to you. And, of course, we're streaming live on Facebook at Tony Brown Roman number 2, FM 107.5, The Vibe, and 1110 AM KTTP Facebook pages. So 4 Facebook pages. You can pick us up on Twitter, streaming live as well at Eyes Open T Brown, as well as Periscope at the same handle, Eyes Open T Brown. And, of course, go to Eyes Open with Tony Brown. That's our YouTube channel. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And right after the show at 9 o'clock, you can go back and you can see this show today airing in its entirety. In fact, all of our shows, you can go to our YouTube channel and go back for posterity. Louisiana's ongoing surge of COVID-19 continues to escalate over the weekend with an additional 6,225 cases reported since Friday, marking one of the largest increases in case counts since the pandemic began. Though vaccinations are also increasing slightly, it's not enough to stem the flood of patients into the hospitals, according to weary healthcare workers now well into their 4th surge in the last 8 months. In fact, Dr. Catherine O'Neill, Chief Medical Officer at Our Lady of the Lake, which is the state's biggest lone-standing hospital, 800 rooms, she says it's going. This new strain, the Delta variant, it's so fast we can't really grasp it. She said, I don't know where we will be in 3 days. I'm afraid we'll reach crisis standards of care if we don't make some changes quickly. Now, hospital requests crisis standards from the state when there are not enough resources, including staff, to care for the patients. The last 7 days saw a total of 15,282 cases, a weekly average higher than any other time except the first few weeks of January. I had the pleasure of joining us live this morning, Dr. Joseph Cantor. He's the state health official and serves as the top medical official for the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals. Dr. Cantor, welcome for the first time on Eyes Open. Hopefully it won't be your last. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tony. It's very nice to be with you this morning.
Doc, we've been trying to do what we can to certainly get out to our listeners. We've been allowing political leaders from Baton Rouge, from locally, to come on to make an appeal to their constituency. Louisiana still is at the top of the very list when it comes to this new spread of the Delta variant. You just heard the numbers that I just mentioned. We're talking about some astronomical numbers that we haven't seen since the height of the pandemic. Are these numbers too big to ignore?
They're much too big to ignore, and I think you phrased it well, Tony. At the end of the day, the absolute red line for the state, and the governor has been very clear about this the entire pandemic, is hospital capacity. And we just cannot allow ourselves to jeopardize the ability of anyone, COVID or not COVID, to receive care at a hospital. And that's, if we don't turn things around, just as Dr. Catherine O'Neill at the Lake said, if we don't turn things around, that's exactly where we might end up. And to be honest with you, Tony, it's very frustrating. It's a kick in the gut to be back here. We've been here exactly 3 times before, and I think a lot of us felt that we had somewhat turned a corner. We had about 40% of the state's population has at least initiated the vaccine, and that's not herd immunity, but it's also not insignificant. Unfortunately, this Delta variant, which now is by far the dominant strand, it's well over 80% of new cases in Louisiana.
Wow.
This Delta variant has just proven too powerful. It's too difficult to spread. It's too aggressive, and we really need to be pulling all the tools that we have right now.
Doc, as we just mentioned, hospitals are probably soon this week, if not sooner, going to be requesting crisis standards. Our Lady of the Lake, whom we had just mentioned, has already stopped doing elective surgeries. The LCMC has also paused elective surgeries. Ochsner's health system, although has not instituted a widespread halt on surgeries at its 40 hospitals, but individual facilities may reduce or postpone non-emergency surgeries. With this 4th wave and how aggressive this Delta variant, you just mentioned it's 80% or more of the new cases that we're getting now. How much of a strain is this going to put on our already overburdened, overworked hospitals?
It's already putting quite a big strain, and the notion of canceling or postponing elective surgeries is, I think it probably sounds more benign than it really is. Any surgery is elective unless you delay it too much.
Yes.
and then it no longer becomes elective.
Yes.
And that's the problem. And, we saw this during the first couple waves we had, over a year ago, where there is a toll when people defer important health care, even if it's not a life-threatening emergency. At that point in time, things can compound, and I think it's really unfortunate to be here. Our hospitalized census, so the number of COVID patients hospitalized throughout the state, has more than quadrupled over the past 3 weeks. And it's superimposed upon two other stressors that hospitals face right now. Number one, they're already busier than they normally are for this part of the year with non-COVID patients. There's a lot of RSV virus going around that causes viral symptoms and other conditions. The hospitals, for whatever reason, have found themselves busier. And hospitals are having a tough time retaining and recruiting new nurses. There's a nursing shortage that's hitting the country, Louisiana included, and it's understandable. I think some nurses have taken the opportunity to pursue non-clinical work. Some are taking a break. Some are going back to school. They've had a really hard year, and I don't blame anyone for that. They've been on the front lines. But hospitals, I think what we're going to hit before we run up against the number of physical beds we have is hospitals are just going to have a hard time staffing the beds that we do have. So all of those are pretty stark warning signs. It's what drove the governor last week to strongly recommend that people resume wearing masks when they're indoors, even if they are fully vaccinated, until we get out of this surge. I think it's mitigation measures like that we're going to need to limit the amount of suffering, at least until we get out of this surge, and then we can go back to a more relaxed state.
Doc, the simple fact that 50% of those cases in this country, particularly with this Delta variant, or any other COVID-19 cases, really have no symptoms. They're asymptomatic. When you take a look at what we're seeing even at the Olympics on these breakthrough cases, people who've been vaccinated, people who've done everything that you guys have asked us to do, and still are getting the virus. And I've even heard reports, and you probably have as well, as some people getting so seriously sick even after getting the vaccination that they end up being back in the hospital. How should I take this, that I've done everything that I needed to do, both me and my wife, who've gotten both of the shots. I'm a diabetic. I have a chronic disease. I have sleep apnea. So I'm concerned because of my chronic ailments that I don't know who's next to me. I'm scratching my head, Doc, as you are, and the health officials like yourself, as to why nearly 2/3 of the population in the state of Louisiana will not choose life, as opposed to saying, I want to wait and see, or this vaccine is not safe. Are you scratching your head like I am, trying to figure out what the heck is going on, and what is the mindset of people choosing to live without the vaccine as opposed to living with the vaccine?
Yeah, very much so. And what bothers me more, I think people fall victim to a lot of misinformation out there.
Yes.
And I think that's understandable. What really gets to me is the people who know better and are deliberately spreading misinformation. To me, that's really inexcusable. You asked a really good question, Tony, about people that get sick despite getting the vaccine. So let me give you some perspective on this. Of the over 1,000 patients that are hospitalized with COVID right now, 90% are unvaccinated. That does leave 1 in 10 who are hospitalized with COVID despite being vaccinated. By and large, when people have severe complications of COVID despite being vaccinated, they tend to be older. The median age of this group is 73 years old, or they tend to have underlying health conditions. But the bottom line point is this. These vaccines provide excellent but not absolute protection. And we know that breakthrough cases can happen, and the chance of a breakthrough case happening goes up the more COVID is around. The higher the chance someone is going to be exposed to COVID on a daily basis. At some point, that COVID might break through the vaccine's protection. It's the same thing as wearing seatbelts. Seatbelts provide excellent protection, but if someone goes and gets into an accident every day of the month, at some point they're going to get injured despite wearing a seatbelt. That's the way we got to be thinking about this. So while we're in a surge, and we are in a surge now, there's no question, everyone, even if you're vaccinated, needs to be taking those extra precautions like masking and distancing just until we get through this surge.
Doc, you know, the Department of Health and medical experts and even governmental officials have been very nice with citizens, even here in Louisiana, trying to understand their freedoms, trying to understand their individual liberties. But at what point do we have to stop being the nice guy? I see right now in Florida, Arkansas, and Louisiana have some of the highest cases, but I see in California, they're now are going to be mandating the vaccine for all of their employees in the state, or they're going to have to succumb to weekly testing. I also heard yesterday where the federal government, civil service employees, will now be mandated to get the vaccine. And if they don't get the vaccine, they're not going to get a paycheck. At what point are we going to have to start doing some of these tough measures to get these people to understand this is a crisis? What you don't do affects the person next to you and vice versa. At some point, we have to stop being politically correct because this is a crisis of epidemic or pandemic proportions. When are we going to be able to see some mandates? Now you have also in some of these big events, y'all have already told us if you're not vaccinated, or even if you are vaccinated, mask up when you're indoors. Tell unvaccinated people don't go to bars and restaurants. Now sporting arenas, some on the East Coast are now requiring that you have a vaccination. At what point are we going to get tough here in Louisiana so that we can get these people to roll up their sleep?
Well, it's a great point. I really don't know. I mean, I do think private industry is probably going to lead the way on issues like that, particularly in more conservative parts of the country. I mean, I can tell you, every hospital in the state is having internal conversations now about the risks and pros and cons of mandating the vaccine for their staff. A number of them have come out and talked about that. You know, Ochsner has, and I definitely think once full FDA approval comes, which we think is going to come within a month and a half now, you're going to see more institutions doing that. You know, institutions really the risk-benefit of what they do, and when people are vaccinated, it creates a safer environment for the workers, and you know, certainly in the hospital, ensures that the care being provided is safer. It ensures that patients are less likely to be exposed. Some of these are going to be challenged in court. The hospital in Houston already was challenged in court, and the court sided with the hospital. I think we're going to see more cases like this. But I think for a lot of businesses, they're going to come around to realize that a healthier workforce is a more productive workforce, and there's a really good business case to be made to finding whatever way works to incentivize vaccination amongst their employees.
Now, here we are, Doc, maybe 3.5 weeks at the most to when school starts. So a lot of our posterity, my grandchildren, my nephews, my nieces, will be returning to school in 3 weeks. At the height of this Delta variant and these astronomical cases that we're seeing within the last 7 days alone, when you take into the fact that Bessie mentioned just last week that unlike last year, Louisiana public school leaders are deferring to local school officials on face masks and other safety protocols amid the rising number of cases of the coronavirus. So that means every school district is going to be able to determine their mitigating factors of how they're dealing with the COVID in 3 weeks with this rise of this Delta variant. Is this a time bomb waiting to happen?
Well, you know, I really hope that school districts do the right thing, Tony. It's I think one of the challenges here is they tend to hear from the loudest voices, and they don't tend to hear from the more silent majority of people who want their kids to be safe and realize that small things like masking can go a long way and are a relatively small price to pay to ensure that our kids are back in school and back in school safely. You know, our number one priority here in terms of schools is making sure that in-person education happens. We don't want to jeopardize that, but really the way to ensure that is to create a safe environment through masking and distancing where possible. I think what we're going to see with schools that don't elect to do that is the same thing we saw this summer with summer camps who did not elect to do that, which is they will have outbreaks. Outbreaks will cause disruption in education. They'll have to take a short pause, and then they'll come back with those mitigation measures like masking instituted. I would rather schools not have to go through that and do the right thing from day one. That would be better for students, I think.
Doc, before I let you go, what do you say to parents out there who 3-4 weeks ago were buying school uniforms, buying school supplies, excited about their children going back to school, who now within the last couple of days have called me and who have changed their thought processes on this, and they're now on the fence. Should I jeopardize putting my kid in an environment where they can get sick? What is your advice to parents when they're looking now at going back to the option of virtual learning as opposed to putting their kids in that physical classroom?
I would say don't raise the white flag just yet. I think a lot can be moved by parents reaching out to their school districts. And if they want their kids to be safe in school, tell them that they want the student bodies and the staff to be masked, at least until we're out of this surge. And I think the more that schools hear from parents of that concern, it will balance out the few but very loud voices schools are hearing from on the other side of that issue.
Dr. Joseph Cantor, state health official and our top medical official for the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for giving us access, and just thank you for being truthful and candid with us about the realness of this crisis.
Thank you, Tony. It's a real pleasure. Please stay safe out there.
Absolutely.
Hope to talk to you soon.
You do the same, my friend. You take care. All right. I tell you what, folks, again, Dr. Joseph Cantor, the state health official and the top medical official for Louisiana Department of Health. Y'all heard him, folks. We're going to have more eyes open when we come back. Don't go away.